Okay, so behind me is the office I've used for all of my CGY videos up until this point. And it's just about to get completely destroyed and basically be unusable for future videos. And so to commemorate it, I thought I'd give you guys just a little tour of what's going on inside there. But now, you might be thinking, Ben, you're the world's biggest visual effects YouTuber. Corridor Crew, more like Corridor Who, am I right? Anyway, and so in there, surely there's this amazing setup that any YouTuber would be jealous of. Well, to your shock, it's actually completely terrible. But that's kind of why I like it. So, let's go in, shall we? Okay. So here's the view you're probably all familiar with. This is the view from the camera's perspective. And then this is the other side of the room. And so immediately you can tell that it's not really that big. You know, it's just sort of one small room. But that's not what's interesting about it. What's interesting about it to me is just how cheap I've done everything. Because I think when a lot of people think, I'm gonna start a YouTube channel, their goal is just to spend all their money on it. You know what I mean? It happens all the time, right? You think, I'll start this new hobby, and you spend like £300 on it, and then you never touch it again, and it's a complete waste of money. And so the way I've approached my YouTube channel is to spend as little money as possible. And so we're just gonna go around all the ways I've been ridiculously cheap. And so let's start here with this wall, right? Like, as you can see, it's genuinely horrendous. It's just this ugly black paneling, and there's like random felt rubbish all over the room. And so what this is soundproofing, because we're actually operating out of a toilet. Under there is a bathroom, and all of this paneling here is like bathroom stuff, which means I've got my own little sink and my own toilet. But if you don't know about sound recording, stuff like this, all this like really hard stuff and these windows and this hard floor makes sound bounce and you get an echo, right? This room's even a bit echoey now. So all of this sound paneling here is to counteract the echoing. And so like I say, I've just done it as cheaply as possible, right? So these are like 20 euros off of Amazon, you know, probably 2 sets of those, so that's 40 euros. And then this is a carpet we already had. This is just like some random felt we had around the house. And in terms of being cheap, this here is the piece de resistance, because what we have here is sort of a garden towel thing over, wait for it, over two ironing boards. And these have been in my videos, and no one has ever identified that I just had 2 ironing boards holding up a sheet of like just some old towel. And so whilst this is ridiculously cheap, I'm kind of proud of it, because I feel like most people would spend a lot of money. You know, obviously I couldn't drill really into this door, right? It's built into the house. And so I feel a lot of people spend a lot of money building some custom, expensive, ridiculous solution. And really this does the job. And so basically all of that is to neutralize the echo in the room, right? Which brings us to the microphone, because obviously I sit here talking to that camera into that microphone. And you may notice that the microphone is held up by 3 books. Because again, most people would spend money on some expensive microphone stand or some complicated thing, but why? Just put it up on some books, no one can see it from the camera, and it just works. It works easy peasy. And so in here is the camera that you can see. And then this thing in front of it here, this is a teleprompter. So I can put my phone in there and it will reflect across this glass. Maybe there's something I can put in there. Let's just do this for a demonstration. There you go, look at that. So then basically you have your phone in there with a little script on it, and you can read, and then there's the camera lens in the back there. And so it looks like you're looking into the camera, but you're actually reading. And so yeah, that's that whole thing there. Bing bam boom, talk to the camera, video made, easy peasy. Right, here's another thing that's quite cheap and terrible in this room that for some reason I'm slightly proud of. And that's that we had these 2 quite old, quite terrible desks, right? And they're just so old and terrible, they just literally shake. Look at that, look how literally, look, I don't know if you saw that. The little crochet animals fell down. It's just literally horrendous. And to be honest, I probably won't be changing it. Like, you also could be like sat here playing a game or like working, and you wibble the mouse around and just the whole thing shakes. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but like the desk shakes as you move the mouse around. It is genuinely terrible. But yeah, anyway. And so I spent a long time trying to figure out how to film in this room, because you're actually ridiculously limited in terms of like setup, right? Because to easily look nice on camera, you kind of want that shallow depth of field. Maybe I can achieve it here. Okay, the camera's not doing it. But basically where like the thing in the foreground is in focus and the stuff in the background is out of focus. That gives you quite cheap, like a nice cinematic look. And so you may remember my first video in this room just looked horrendous. And that's because I had the camera around here filming backwards against this white wall. And what that meant was that there was just no depth of field in the whole room because it was so short, right? Like the camera couldn't autofocus on me and blur out the background because I was too close and the background was too close. And so what I'm limited to here is kind of having everything stuffed up here with this toilet and the sink and my camera, because that's the only way to get the depth into the room. And then I have all of this sort of soft stuff crammed in here and all this soft stuff crammed in here to cover up the wall, just to narrow off the echoing. And so I think it's quite a quaint little operation in here, you know. And so I guess we'll just give it its final sending off, and we'll do that by flushing the toilet. So I salute you, room. And so yeah, that's a tour of the $1 studio.